A pleasure to meet all at last, and welcome back to HGN Season 3. And today, we're going to have ourselves another Combiner episode. And I'm probably going to have a few more like this too, so don't worry. I will in fact be talking about numbers 1455 to 1464. Plagiarism, conditions, roller coasters, placating, agencies, joysticks, despondences, neurons, landslides, and avalanches. So, of course, a nice day's worth of work, all figured out and all ready to go here. Let's get started with plagiarism. The act of using someone else's work and passing it off as your own. Another way of simply saying copyright infringement, if you will. But in this case, it's essentially direct rip-offs of other people's work. For example, in a school project, there's a reason why it's explicitly labeled as illegal. Because it is very much what the actual Copyright Infringement Act of '76 is like. So let's move on to conditions. So, conditions of all sorts. Conditions to meet the requirements of things, the conditions necessary to enter a racetrack, the conditions needed for any sort of things, or basically just describing your health as a whole. And conditions do have a lot to do with your health and safety overall. Roller coasters, a very fun ride. And knowing the fact that I have been to a lot of amusement parks in my time, it's simply put, just loads of fun, no matter where you look at it. Six Flags, Universal Studios, Walt Disney World, doesn't really matter all too much. Even good old Mount Olympus has had plenty to offer, since I was in fact there this past June. So, I dropped the notebook on the floor again, so let's move on to placating. Yeah, it's just another term that exists. Moving on. Agencies. If you're familiar with the CIA or MI6, these are examples of agencies, governmental agencies. But that's just one out of possibly many ways to describe this as a whole. Now we're going to go to joysticks, which are simply bits on old school controllers, such as the Atari 2600. Despondences. Can't really say much of that either. 1462 is neurons, which talks specifically about a little component in the brain. A little component that actually does regulate neuromatic response. As a result, that's why they're labeled as neurons. They enable a lot of neurological reactions. Finally, landslides and avalanches. They're technically the same thing. Landslides have to do with rock and dirt, and avalanches have to do with snow. So, just to not get confused on that part. I suppose with all that in mind, that's going to cover this exact portion of HGN Season 3. But let's not forget, I'm getting pretty close to a point where I can eventually call it off and move on to a new crossover series. So HGN is going to have a lot of things to talk about until then. We're getting pretty close to the 15th of September. So if you want to see more go down on my channel, then make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.